Somewhere behind the tall iron gates of Bellevue Hill, in a pocket of Sydney where old money exhales and new money whispers, sits a villa so quietly extravagant that even the birds seem to sing softer around it. At 52, Toni Collette, Australia's beloved chameleon of the screen, the woman who once embodied suburban struggle in Muriel's Wedding, has risen into a lifestyle that feels more like a well-guarded European novella than the daily hum of life in the eastern suburbs. It's a home rarely glimpsed in the tabloids, rarely photographed by drones, and yet whispered about at private functions and on real estate blogs under phrases like an enigmatic, art-filled sanctuary, or the star's secret fortress of calm. The property, rumored to have cost upwards of $8 million, is nestled behind manicured hedges, complete with a sweeping stone driveway lined with ghost gums and a security system that could rival a minor embassy. Visitors, should they be lucky enough to be invited in, are often stunned by the velvet hush that greets them. Not just the silence, but the weight of it. It is not simply a house, it is a world. Inside, everything gleams, though never garishly. Polished concrete floors flow into sunken lounges dressed in vintage Italian leather. Hand-blown Murano glass fixtures scatter refracted sunlight like prisms onto imported sandstone walls. There is a grand piano that nobody seems to play, but everyone pauses beside. And in the corner, a single framed photo. Toni, barefoot, laughing in Marrakesh. That, perhaps, is the only truly candid moment allowed in this cathedral of curated perfection. The garage is a shrine of another sort. No fewer than 5 luxury vehicles rest here, each as spotless as the day it left the showroom floor. A black Bentley Continental GT that Toni supposedly refers to as my weekday whisper. A vintage Aston Martin DB6, registered in Queensland for reasons no one can quite explain. And a cherry-red Tesla Roadster she never drives, just keeps polished for its potential. People say she doesn't care for extravagance, and that may be true, on the surface. Collette doesn't splash her life across Instagram like other stars her age, and she certainly doesn't do red carpets unless there's a damn good reason. But this life, this quiet abundance, has been built with precision. Every Italian silk pillow, every Japanese bonsai imported at eye-watering cost, every Louis XVI chair repurposed into minimalist elegance, each piece is a choice. A whisper of power, not a scream. At 52, Collette seems to have unlocked a new frequency of wealth. Not the brash kind, not the trophy kind, but the kind that hums beneath the skin. This is not the wealth of shopping bags and yacht parties. This is solitude as luxury, privacy as status symbol. She is said to host dinners here once a month, where the menu is handwritten and flown in by private chef from Byron Bay. Each dish an artistic expression. Guests are asked to surrender their phones at the door. Not out of security paranoia, but out of principle. Be present, the invitation reads, in Toni's looping script. And perhaps that's the thread that runs through all of this, the demand for presence. Because for a woman whose life has been a parade of roles, accents, press junkets, and prosthetic noses, the only real currency left is stillness. That, and control. But there's another layer, too. A newer one. One that surfaced after a particularly noticeable absence from screens, just after a film wrapped in Italy, and the rumor mills began to churn. Some said she'd retired quietly. Others believed she'd simply had enough of the industry's grind. But then came a whisper. One assistant's overheard phone call, a post-production delay, and suddenly people began asking, what exactly is Toni Collette building back there? Because just beyond the koi pond and the private meditation pavilion, something else has begun to rise from the earth. A new structure, half hidden in tarps, fiercely guarded by privacy screens. The builders are foreign. The designs imported. Neighbors speak in vague tones about a recording space, a creative sanctuary, and one even claimed it was a soundless dome meant for sonic isolation. What does it mean? Those close to her have gone quiet. Her agent issues polite denials. Her stylist simply smiles. But something is being crafted behind those hedges. Something big. Not a movie. Not a memoir. Not a comeback. Something else. A shift. A metamorphosis. The world waits. In the meantime, Collette walks the travertine corridors of her estate barefoot, sipping black tea from Turkish porcelain, occasionally pausing to adjust a ceramic bird, or light a stick of Palo Santo. Her staff, though minimal, say she's delightful but private, that her taste is flawless but unpredictable. They also say she doesn't sleep much, that she wakes at odd hours to write, that she often stares at the moon, and somewhere, in one of the velvet-lined rooms, perhaps the one with the ceiling mural of whales and clouds, there is said to be a red folder, locked in a drawer. Its contents are unknown, but once a cleaner caught a glimpse of its label before the drawer snapped shut. 3 words scrawled in fountain pen ink. Not yet finished. The phrase has taken on a life of its own now. Fans have begun to whisper about it online. Reddit threads dissect its meaning. Is it a new script? A final project? A confession? A challenge? Or simply, as one journalist mused, a declaration of ongoing reinvention? Whatever it is, Toni isn't saying, not yet, not ever, maybe, but behind the high walls and eucalyptus-draped seclusion of Bellevue Hill, one woman continues to live a life most only dream of, wrapped not just in luxury, but in exquisite, impenetrable mystery. The gates creak open only for the selected few, and when they do, it's not just access to Toni Collette's home that is granted. It's entry into a carefully orchestrated experience. The scent of jasmine creeps in before the engine even cools in the driveway. Somewhere, hidden speakers play a soundscape so delicate it's barely perceptible. Ocean waves, wind through pines, distant laughter. You don't know if it's real, or if Toni has simply found a way to manipulate time itself. A housekeeper, dressed in crisp linen, offers lemongrass water on arrival. Not in a glass, but in a smooth ceramic cup made by a Tasmanian potter who only produces 12 pieces a year. You touch the rim and feel the slight imperfection, a gentle thumbprint in the clay. And suddenly, it's not just a cup. It's an invitation into Toni's world, where nothing is mass-produced and every object holds a quiet story. Toni herself emerges from a shaded hallway, barefoot as always, wearing a robe the color of smoke. Her hair is messily elegant, as if it simply fell into place while she wandered through dreams. There's something about her that defies celebrity. No grand gestures, no performance. She looks directly at you, and for a second, you forget the screen rolls, the awards, the headlines. You're just there, standing in the hushed moment with her. "Come," she says, voice honeyed and low. "Let me show you something." And just like that, you're walking beside her through the layers of her sanctuary. She gestures toward the hanging plants she grows herself, trailing orchids, rare air ferns, and one defiant fig that she insists only blooms when there's a full moon, and I've had wine. She's half joking, but there's something flickering beneath. A belief in rhythms, signs, the intangible. In the far wing of the house lies the library. Not a room, but a breathing organism. The scent of old paper and cedar is overwhelming. Books, stacked with intention, arranged not by title or author, but emotion. "When I feel raw," she says, pulling a slim volume from a shelf. "I read this. It hurts just enough." You don't dare ask the title. The way she holds it, fingers trembling slightly at the spine, tells you it's not for public consumption. Every room in her villa pulses with memory. In the music room, a battered tambourine leans beside a mint-condition Moog synthesizer. "That one," she points, "was from the United States of Tara set. They let me keep it." Her smile is distant, not nostalgic, but grateful. She doesn't trade in sentimentality. She collects presents. And then, almost shyly, she takes you to the greenhouse. It is not grand, it is not ornate. It is, if anything, modest compared to the rest. But this is where she becomes real. "These," she whispers, crouching beside a patch of wild basil and heirloom tomatoes, "these are my meditation." Her hands sink into the soil. She doesn't mind dirt under her fingernails. In fact, she prefers it. There's a pause, and then, "When I'm down there, I remember I have a body. I remember I'm alive." It's not the luxury that defines her. It's the texture of how she lives inside it. The way she reuses beeswax wraps instead of plastic. The handwritten letters she keeps in a lacquered box beneath her bed. The daily ritual of sitting in complete silence at sunset. No phone, no noise, just her and the horizon. Sometimes she disappears. Not from the house, but within it. Days pass without a glimpse of her. Staff say she retreats to the dome, the new construction. Only her assistant is allowed near. They call it the silent room. It's soundproofed to a surgical degree. Not even a whisper escapes. What happens inside is anyone's guess. Some say she's recording vocals for a secret album. Others believe she's writing something monumental. A film, a reckoning, a map out of grief. One visitor, a French director known for his silence more than his speech, emerged from the dome visibly shaken. "She showed me something," he muttered, lighting a cigarette with shaking hands. "It wasn't a script. It wasn't even a story. It was... I don't know what it was." He never elaborated. In the evenings, if the moon is high and the eucalyptus sway just right, Toni sometimes plays piano in the garden, barefoot in the dew. It's said she doesn't play pieces. She plays memories. A melody from a cafe in Lisbon. A tune hummed by her grandmother in Blacktown. Notes she dreamt of while flying over the Pacific. You can't sing along because the music changes as soon as you grasp it. Like her, neighbors have tried to spy, of course. Drones have come and gone. But Toni has ways. Some say she pays a retired intelligence consultant to monitor the skies. Others believe she simply knows when she's being watched. Either way, she's untouchable. Every glimpse you get of her feels like a stolen treasure. And yet, despite the privacy, despite the walls, something about her draws people in. Writers speak of her like a myth. Gardeners call her the barefoot ghost. One delivery boy claims she invited him in for tea because she felt a loneliness in his shoulder blades. That's the kind of woman she is. The kind who sees tension in your bones, not your words. Her wealth, her sanctuary, her rituals, they're not armor. They're scaffolding. They hold her up while she builds something else. Something that's not for us. Not yet. And you? You're still standing there. Maybe in the hallway with the whale mural. Maybe beside the stone koi pond, feeling the tickle of jasmine and the warmth of her voice still echoing in your chest. You don't know what she's constructing, or why. But for a moment, you are part of the blueprint. And the mystery of her life, The muted grandeur, the quiet ache of her days, the unspoken project humming behind each wall, pulls you in like a tide. Because this isn't just a house, it's a stage. And she's still writing the next scene. And there are places within the estate no one talks about. One such place is the East Wing, a corridor shrouded by curtains so thick light forgets how to pass through them. It leads to a room no staff are allowed to clean. Rumors say it was designed by a Japanese architect flown in under an alias who stayed for just 3 nights and left without a word. No blueprints, no public records, just the faint scent of hinoki wood lingering in the air. Some whisper that this is where Toni keeps her dreams. Literally, her dreams. A shelf lined with weathered black notebooks sits against the far wall. Some date back to the late 90s, when she was touring indie theaters across Europe and sleeping in dim hostels. Others are more recent, with pages that curl slightly at the edges, as if they've absorbed too much air, too much memory. She writes them down every morning. Handwritten, stream of consciousness. She believes dreams are coded messages. Unedited versions of our truths, she once said quietly during an interview, before the journalist was politely escorted out for asking too much. No one knows if she ever reads them again. Sometimes the notebooks go missing. Other times, one appears mysteriously on the marble bench beside the koi pond, pages opened to a sentence underlined twice in red ink. It's never clear if she left them there intentionally or if the house, in its own strange way, chose to share them. A former assistant recalls one entry in particular. She only glimpsed it briefly before it was swept away like a fallen feather, but the line has haunted her since. When I was 7, I disappeared for 3 hours and no one noticed. I have been perfecting that magic ever since. Even her kitchen holds secrets. She grows herbs not listed in any cooking book. There's a locked drawer in her fridge marked only with an old film sticker. Take Nabritorn 12, do not touch. And the wines in her cellar, labels peeled off, corks sealed with wax, are stored not by vintage, but by mood. Rainy grief, one reads. Fire after laughter, another. No sommelier has dared to decipher them. Then there's the sculpture in the garden, the one hidden behind the lemon trees. Visitors always ask about it. An abstract figure, cast in bronze, half buried in ivy, a face stretched between agony and awe. Toni tells different stories depending on the person asking. It's my mother. It's a goddess from a dream. It's no one at all. But one guest, a composer from Berlin, claims he touched it once and heard a sound. A soft cello note that seemed to come from within the metal itself. He hasn't spoken publicly since. What truly unsettles those who visit, though, is not what they see. It's what they feel. A low hum. A constant awareness. As though the house is watching. Not in malice. Not even in judgment. But in silence. Like it's waiting. There is also talk of a room below. Below everything. A basement, but not a basement. It's not marked on the floor plans. Only 3 people have reportedly seen it, and all 3 have refused to speak in detail. One, a sound engineer from a Netflix project, resigned mid-production and moved to the outback. Another became a monk in Nepal. The third vanished altogether, leaving behind a postcard with just 3 words scribbled on it. She found it. What did she find? There are guesses, of course. A long-lost script. A voice recording. A letter from someone long presumed gone. But none of the theories explain the strange shifts that happen around her. Power flickers when she enters certain rooms. Clocks tick slightly faster in the main hallway. Dogs refuse to cross the boundary of her meditation dome. There's even a neighbor, a war veteran, who swears he saw her once at 2 a.m., walking across the lawn in nothing but a linen shift, arms raised to the sky, speaking in what he described as a forgotten dialect of longing. She never confirmed it, but the morning after, the neighbor found a single feather, jet black, warm to the touch, resting on his front step. His dog won't go near it. And then there's the project. Always the project. It's taken on mythical status now. The structure beyond the koi pond. Work continues, day and night. Silent crews arrive in unmarked vans. They wear gray uniforms, speak little, and vanish before sunrise. No machinery is used, only hand tools. There's no scaffolding, no cement trucks, just slow, careful layering. The dome has expanded. A second level has begun to rise, although no one can say what for. Some believe it's an art installation. Others say she's building a time capsule, or a shrine to memory itself. One blogger insisted it's a performance piece that will never be performed, only lived. No theory sticks. What is certain is that she spends hours in there, alone. No cameras, no scripts, no assistant, just her. Once, a drone managed to capture a fleeting glimpse through a gap in the latticework. The image, though blurry, caused a storm online. It showed Toni kneeling in a circle of mirrors, her reflection caught from every angle. But the mirrors were cracked, spiderweb fractures dancing across the surfaces, distorting her face into something at once familiar and utterly unknown. The drone was found smashed in a nearby tree. The pilot, an amateur YouTuber, deleted his channel the next day. Still, the public wonders. They wait. Because this isn't a comeback. It's something else. Something deeper. A woman disappearing not from fame, but into it. Using luxury not to dazzle but to shield. Living in a mansion not as a queen, but as a question. The kind of question that wakes you up at 3 a.m. and leaves your breath caught somewhere between fear and awe. Even now, as the city pulses outside her walls and industry insiders whisper about her next move, Toni Collette remains unmoved, untouched. She drifts through her world like smoke, visible, intoxicating, impossible to grasp. And as night falls on Bellevue Hill, lights glowing softly behind those impossibly high hedges, one truth remains. You can watch her, you can guess, but you'll never truly know what Toni Collette is becoming. Not until she decides it's time. And maybe she never will. And then there's the phone. An old rotary one, cream-colored and chipped near the dial, perched inexplicably on a small brass table in the center of a glass hallway that leads nowhere. It rings sometimes. No one knows where the line connects to. It's not connected to any wall jack, nor does it seem to be powered at all. Yet the housekeeper, the same one who's worked there for nearly 9 years, swears it rang on the same nights Toni disappeared into the dome. She never answers it. No one does. But sometimes, in the silence after it stops, the koi fish in the pond gather in a perfect circle. She's noticed this more than once. Things don't quite behave the way they should here. The olive trees, imported from Sicily, older than the foundation they grow beside, bear fruit in late winter. Her clocks never tick in unison. The grand piano sometimes sounds different depending on who plays it. And then there's the locked drawer in the study, the one that every cleaner is told to avoid. It bears no handle, no visible keyhole, but Toni keeps a single glove on the desk beside it. Just one. Black velvet, stitched with a silver crescent. No one's ever seen her wear it. It's these little riddles that linger with those who visit. They come away not with answers, but with impressions, murmurs, a low note that sits behind the ears, just below the conscious mind, refusing to quiet. She's not hiding, one former co-star once said in an interview. She's shaping something. We just don't know what. Sometimes, strangers stop at her gate and stare. Tourists, neighbors, lost delivery drivers who suddenly feel compelled to pause. They never speak. They just look for a moment too long, like they're trying to remember something. One man wept openly for no reason and had to be led away. Another, a young woman in her 20s, said she felt her childhood again just standing near the stone wall. Like I was back in a hallway with sunlight, waiting for something good that never came. Inside, Toni remains unchanged. Not frozen, not passive, just silent in her evolution. Some nights, she can be seen walking the perimeter of her property, barefoot, holding a lantern. It's old-fashioned, almost theatrical. Yet the flame never flickers, no matter the wind. She stops at 4 points: north, south, east, west. She whispers something each time. Nothing audible, just the motion of lips forming shapes, not meant to be heard. The city beyond keeps moving. Films are shot. Awards are given. Younger actors come and go in waves of Instagram filters and scandal. But Toni has removed herself from the equation entirely. And yet, she's more present than ever. The myth has replaced the media. No PR machine could match the electric thrum of the unknown she now radiates. She receives letters, hundreds each week, from fans who no longer ask for autographs or photos, but send poetry, riddles, keys with no locks, bits of sea glass, dried roses, maps with one street circled in red. They address her as if she's already become something else. Dear keeper, dear mirror, dear woman of the threshold. No one knows what she does with them. A rumor persists that she lines the floor of the dome with them, walking across them barefoot, as if seeking meaning from the sum of strangers' wonder. It's all speculation, and maybe that's the point. The art of her now isn't performance, it's suggestion. Not what she says, but what she withholds. She has made privacy into provocation. She is not simply absent from the screen, she is haunting its edges. The screen misses her. The roles she once inhabited now feel empty in her absence. It's as if she took something vital with her and left the rest of us wondering how to fill the space. Even the industry doesn't know how to respond. Directors pitch projects with empty lead roles, hoping she'll sense them. Producers offer entire productions built around her with no scripts, just themes. One sent a blank envelope with only a red feather inside. She sent it back, along with a note that read, "Wrong shade." Once, in a late-night radio interview, a poet who had been invited to dinner at her villa recounted something curious. She asked me if words could bruise, he said. Then she asked if silence could heal. Then she said nothing else for 45 minutes. We just sat in the garden, listening to water drip from a leaf. The next day, he deleted all his social media accounts and published a collection of blank pages under the title, "Her Absence, Exactly." No explanation was offered, none was needed. And yet, within all this, there are glimpses, fleeting, almost imperceptible, of something more human. A coffee mug left unwashed, lipstick smudged along the rim. A scarf draped across a chair, still warm. The faint sound of a laugh drifting through the house late at night, unplaceable. The echo of someone still tethered to the world she's transcending. You begin to wonder, is this all a performance? Or has she transcended even that? Is the dome an artwork, a sanctuary, or a vault? Is she working on her masterpiece? Or has she already finished it, and we're just walking through its aftershock? Did she disappear to escape, or to reappear in a form we're not yet capable of recognizing? And then there's the lingering question, one that follows everyone who's stepped through those gates, even once. What did I leave behind when I left? Some say they forgot names. Others lost the taste for certain foods. One person claimed they couldn't hear applause anymore, not in the same way. It sounded hollow, like clapping in a dream. No answers are given. Only more rooms, more shadows, more pauses, and somewhere in the villa, behind thick curtains and soundless halls, Toni Collette continues her quiet retreat, or transformation, or unveiling. Whatever it is, it's not done yet. Maybe it never will be. And maybe that's the entire point.